Welcome back, Mindsetters. As promised to you, my name is Abram. We have Cheryl who's going to be helping us learn more about reproduction, life sciences. I love this topic, Cheryl. It's so exciting. And I know Mindsetters love this one.
I don't know why, I'm not quite sure why.
I don't know why as well. I don't. Do you like it though?
Hey?
Do you like it or you love it?
You must, teaching it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting section to teach, isn't it? Let's just say it's never a dull moment.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, without any waste of time, the notes, guys, are there for you. Go to learn.mindset.co.za/school. But I have the notes for you guys on facebook.com/learnextra. Share your comments and your questions. Let's help one another on this fascinating and exciting topic. Cheryl, over to you.
Yeah, I just want to say to you,
Yes.
I don't think you should be working here anymore.
Why?
Because first you want the spark, but you can't. Now you want to be a student with free accommodation, and you can't.
No, listen to this. Accommodation, yes, is for students on the
Yes.
competition. However, anyone can have accommodation. So
No,
why
I'm just
not?
saying to you, you excluded from all of these yummy things that
Is
they
this some
have.
revenge for me
No,
saying
for you,
BT?
we're not even going
Okay,
there. We're
let's
not even
go
going
there.
there. Welcome, grade 12s. Tonight we're going to be looking at the reproduction, especially the human reproduction part of of your syllabus. What I want to do is, I'm not going to go through everything in great detail, but I am going to go over certain things that I do want you to make sure that you recap. There's certain parts that are obviously more important than others. So we're just going to go through a brief little discussion of all the parts that do make up the reproductive system, all right? And then we're going to do a few practice questions. If we don't get through the practice questions, as Abram said, they are on the notes. The notes are there, all right, with all the different the work that we've done now, just a brief summary with the different questions, and the answers are there. So if we don't get through tonight, please go to the Facebook page, get the notes, everything is there. All right, we're going to start off with, when we start off with reproduction, unfortunately we start off with the boring part according to you guys, all right, and that is reproductive strategies. And reproductive strategies, remember what we're looking at, all right? The whole of the topic this year basically is the continuation of our species, all right? And that's exactly what reproduction is. So when we talk about reproduction, all right, we're not really talking about the sex part of it, all right? We're looking at a species. The only way that a species can survive is that if it's able to make, all right, new individuals for that species. Last year, you would have touched on a little bit of the ecology, and the first bit, all right, touches on the ecology part. We're not going to go into too much detail. If you have a look at your exam breakdown, there's not a lot that they can ask on this section. It's very, very small amounts, but there are little bonus marks, all right, that you can learn. When it comes to this section, please, the terminology is important, because you'll see all the words on the board over there, all right, relate to an organism. The reproductive strategies means what do organisms use, all right, in order for their species to be able to survive. And quite simply, if we tie it back to grade 11's ecology series, we looked at certain species that we considered more higher order, all right, your R and your K strategy species that you would have done last year. For example, let's take a look at your bacteria. Very simple, all right, asexual reproduction. A lot of bacteria are produced, but the environmental resistance will hit quite quickly and they will die. Let's look at the fish. All right, when we look at the fish, we did the frog, all right, the reptile, the bird, all right, the mammal. As we see, as species change, so, all right, their ability to reproduce and their ability to become, all right, to reproduce better, if I can use that word. It's actually not really correct in saying it, because if you reproduce, but the ways in which they're doing are become more suited to whether, all right, they are a fish where you have lots of eggs laid in the water, external fertilization. When the eggs hatch, predators can eat them, there's no parental care. And then as you go higher up, all right, you would have looked at again in grade 11, as you get to your mammal, what do you see? Far fewer species. Reproduction is internal, right? The baby's protected. There is parental care, etc. So when we look at our reproductive strategies, the terminology, external fertilization versus internal fertilization, all right? Precocial versus altricial. In other words, when the baby is born, can it get straight up? All right? So, we'll think of a baby elephant. When a baby elephant is born, what happens as it's born? It spends so much time, all right, in the mother's uterus, almost 2 years, because when it's born, what does it have to do? Stand up and defend itself. Whereas the humans don't spend as much time, 9 months, and with that, what do we have to do? We have to be able to protect it. We have to look after it. Okay, is reproduction egg laying? All right, oviparous. Is it egg laying, but the egg's not so much the fertilization, the egg stays inside, all right, the female, ovoviviparous. Or is it viviparous? In other words, does the fetus, is it nicely protected within a uterus, usually within a placenta? So basically know those. All right, when it comes to this section, the one thing that I do want you to be able, all right, to compare, I want you to have a look at the pictures here. You don't need to know, all right, you do not need to know the structure of the amniotic egg. What I do want you to be able to see, there are certain words, the amnion, all right, the chorion, the embryo, all right, and the amniotic cavity. And the reason why you will have a look here, an egg is laid outside the body. It has a shell, all right, for protection. But what do we start to see? We start to see, all right, things that are very familiar with the diagram that you need to know, all right, for the human reproduction. It's not the same, all right, what has happened? An egg gets laid outside the body. That's why there's the egg for protection. But what happens when we get to our mammals, all right, our phylum Mammalia? Where do we have fertilization is internal. Where does the baby develop? Internally. So we don't need the shell, all right? But there are still characteristics. Here we go. Amnion, the chorion, all right? All of these are still, all right, reminiscent of the egg, the allantois egg. So please remember, B, you need to be able to draw a comparison between the amniotic egg and that it's quite simpler, all right, similar, should I say, to the developing fetus inside the uterus. Okay, now we're going to Abram, your favorite part. Just remember, this is very graphic. All right. Okay, let's start off with, right, the anatomy. Okay, yes, it is quite graphic. All of a sudden, they're busy looking down. I'm surrounded by men here. Yeah. All right, guys, when it comes to the reproductive structure, the first thing you need to know is you need to know the anatomy of it. All right, you'll see very often the questions that you're asked, all right, is a male reproductive or a female reproductive structure, right? And these, when you study, you will see, whenever you go through any past exam paper, you always have to relate your question to a diagram, all right? So what I suggest, it's those of you who have heard me teaching or preaching before about this, I am an annotated diagram fundi. In other words, all right, you draw this diagram whichever way you want, all right, and for each of the structures, okay, for each of them, I want to know the function. That's what they're there for, right? Not what they look like, but what they are there for. Remember what I said, okay? We need to make more of our species. The male reproductive structure, the male, all right, its function is to produce a gamete, which is a sex cell, which we know as a sperm, and to get rid of it. All right, so nowhere is the male structure suited to look after the child. Okay, so all the male does, when you look at structure versus function, what is the male reproductive structure? It must make sperm, and it makes vast amounts of sperm, all right, because they are the smallest cell in the body, but they're the ones that have to go out. The female, her cell never ever leaves the body. She protects it from the time ovulation occurs. So the male system is always made to make and go out. We always say the hunter-gatherer kind of thing, all right? And the females is to nurture. So when we look at the males, what does it have to do, all right? We've got our testes. The most important thing is the male must make a sperm. If he cannot make a sex cell, all right, he can't reproduce. It's as simple as that. A male sex cell, sperm, gamete, and a female sex cell have to fuse. All right, fertilization. And if they implant in the uterus, then we're going to have a baby. That's a reproduction. The species continues. All right, so we've got this, all right, male structure that has to make sperm. All right, then it has to carry the sperm, if you can follow here, all right, and it goes quite a way around, and the sperm has to go out, all right? So it has to carry the sperm, and those are through tubes, vas deferens. Some people call it the sperm duct. When you have a vasectomy, all right, you have that tube. There we go, sorry, okay. That tube gets cut. So if that tube is cut, we can't get sperm to go through the tube, okay? So I need to make sperm, I need to take the sperm out, and the sperm then has to be released. Now, that sperm, when it's released, needs a few little things with it. Number one, a sperm needs to swim. And number two, sounds, in Afrikaans, I always say there's a nice word for it, it's called padkos. It needs food. It needs food, all right? It needs sugar, because it needs to get to the female egg, and it's a very, very, very far distance, and it's a very, very hostile territory. All right, so what do we have? Along the way, do you see here? We have the Cowper's gland, we have the seminal vesicle, all right, and right here behind you, where you can't actually see, because it's hidden, all right, behind the bladder, is the prostate gland. Right, the prostate gland. And all of those, all right, are going to secrete substances, a liquid, all right, into the ducts. One, what do we need? We need food. Oopsie, sorry, that should be food. We need a stimulant to swim. And now, if we have a look at the male structure, the male, all right, the male penis is used for two things. It's used for reproduction, but for excretion, all right? Because this over here is called a common urogenital tract. What does that mean? Urine and sperm, all right, semen are going to come out. And that is very, very acidic, all right, from the urine. So we can't have that acid. So what do we also have? What are the prostrates and all of them? They are going to, all right, produce this alkaline fluid that neutralizes. And then obviously if we have a look in the penis has tissue that is able to, all right, swell, lots of blood vessels swell and harden, right, so that copulation, sex, all right, intercourse is then able to be done. So he's produced, got rid of, then that's over. It's the female's responsibility, all right, it's the female's responsibility to then nurture. All right, to the nurture. What does she also have to do? Number one, she has to produce a sex cell, all right? And that is an ovum, that's the female gamete. All right, there she is with a little bow on her head. All right, okay. And she is going to develop inside the ovary. And a woman is then going to ovulate, and the egg is going to go into these fallopian tubes, where she waits, all right, for the sperm. Because what has happened now? All right, sperm comes in, and there we're going to have fertilization. Once fertilization occurs, the woman has, let me use orange, she has this special structure called the uterus, which has this lining called the endometrium, which fills with blood. Because if we fill it with blood, all right, what does blood do? Blood is life-giving. It carries nutrients, it carries oxygen. So what is it going to do? When that little embryo implants into that blood, all right, what are we going to start to see? We're going to start to see the development of our fetus. So our male, to make a gamete, to get rid of the gamete, the female, all right, she is going to be responsible for the development and the nurturing of that embryo.
What do we say after that?
Don't worry, you're going to hear about the
There's
menstrual cycle just now. Keep tight.
There's
Keep
more
on to
to
your
come.
seat.
Well, I also have some questions for you, but later on we'll deal with them.
Your
Guys,
questions
keep
worry
them
me.
coming. Keep them coming. Like Sanela says, that this is her best topic in life sciences. She's enjoying this topic. Well, I would agree with you, like most of us. Guys, we'll see you after this break. Welcome back, guys. You know, we're still enjoying ourselves here on Learn Extra. We're learning more and learning together, guys. So if you've got those questions, send them through to me, guys. We're live and we're taking your questions. I'm ready to engage with you guys. Facebook.com/Learn Extra. We've got awesome competitions that we'll be telling you on about later on. Sure?
Now I just all of a sudden need to cough.
You have to go.
No, I'm
Okay,
fine now. No, I'm fine now.
You're fine.
I can do this.
You can do this.
I can do
Alright.
this, yeah. All right. Okay. We're going on to the next part. As I said to you now, I don't know if some of you, which order your teachers might teach the syllabus. I'm not going to go into meiosis in great detail. All right. We're going to do programs later where we're going to look at meiosis. Meiosis is in the, all right, let me go back here quickly. All right. Oh, we go over here. Okay. One too many. In the male, meiosis is going to occur in the testes, all right? And when we look at the testes, there's a diagram as well of the internal structure of the testes, all right, that looks a lot like that, okay? These seminiferous tubules. And inside that is where the male sex cell is going to develop. Inside the female, and we're going to look at it in more greater detail, that is where the female sex cell is going to develop. Now, don't let this diagram frighten you, because you do not need to know all the different stages. Okay, this is what happens. Have a look over here. During meiosis, which occurs only in the reproductive structures, what we're going to have is one cell at the end, all right, in males, that one cell, all right, is going to give rise to 4 cells, each of them being genetically non-identical. Can you remember in grade 10 we did mitosis? We did DNA replication. What is mitosis? Making an exact copy. One of the things that is going to go throughout your syllabus this year is this word genetic variation. We need changes. We need variety. All right. If I say to you, okay, you can have a piece of bread every day, all right, for the rest of your life, we know that's not healthy. Certain countries in the world, it's reality, all right, but it's not healthy. Why? Everybody says it's boring. Never mind boring, all right? We need variety. Variety. Why do you need to have green vegetables? Why do you need to have, which are gross, by the way, meat and dairy and all of those things, a healthy diet? Because variety actually keeps you healthy. Here as well, all right, we need variety. So our male, that's why our males can make so much sperm. Remember, they need to make a lot. Imagine if they only produced 1 sperm. All right, 1 sperm. Our species would have died out long ago. All right, because the males, if it was a male sperm, they would have got lost because males never ask for direction. All right, so it wouldn't have happened. So where's their power? The power is in numbers. Okay, they produce 4 of them. Each of those are genetically different from each other. The female, right, just to give you, it's not totally biological what's going to happen, is the female, she actually does produce 4. But the one female, women don't always get on very well with each other, right? The one actually steals the cytoplasm from all the others. And instead of making 4 cells, we make 1 supercell, all right? 1 supercell. And remember, why do we only make 1? Never leaves our body. Right? It never leaves our body. So we don't need to make many because it is protected at all times. Okay? And again, meiosis, what happens? Those cells are all genetically different from each other. All right? Why? To bring in variety. To bring in variety. And the terms you're going to lose, all right? Spermatogenesis is the making, there we go, sperm of a male gamete. And oogenesis, all right, is obviously the female. Some people say, here comes the females. Hey, yeah, lots of us are. Okay, now, when it comes to the next part, this is, I find, the more challenging part, and this is the part that they are going to ask you over and over again. Either with questions, the menstrual cycle is going to be in your paper all of the time. It can be asked as an essay question because it is hormone based, so we can link it to the endocrine system, all right? And it's also, they can ask you graphs, etc. on it. So when it comes to the female, all right, our ovulation and the menstrual cycle, it's not always the most easiest thing to understand. We are very, very complicated. Okay, first diagram that you need to know is this diagram over here. And what is it? This is the development of the female ovum, all right, in the ovary. So within the ovary, we'll see what you can see over here. We have what we call a primary little follicle, all right? And what it does, and this is what is the most important thing, okay, is that this little structure, all right, is actually a double structure. You know, women come with baggage, all right? This is us. We come with baggage. Why? We are an egg cell, but within that egg cell, we actually within a structure that is our house. All right, so we're going to leave, but that little house is going to stay there for a while to see if pregnancy is going to occur or not. Okay, so what we have here, this whole development, this structure is referred to as the Graafian follicle. All right, now what does that mean? The Graafian follicle is two things. Number one, okay, it's the ovum, it's the egg cell. And as you can see from what happens, the egg cell is going to leave the ovary because it has to go to the fallopian tubes. Okay, all right. But around here, this, when it leaves behind a structure that has hormone capabilities. What do we mean? Quite simply, it's going to produce a hormone called progesterone. So in the development of the egg, the ovary does two things. It's responsible for the development of the egg, and that egg, the leftovers of the egg, all right, which is called the corpus luteum, all right, is a structure that's an endocrine structure. What is an endocrine? It secretes a hormone. Okay. Now, I'm going to go through the menstrual cycle with you. I'm going to use the diagram behind me. You need to understand, and when it comes to the menstrual cycle, it's totally, all right, controlled by hormones. You cannot get the hormones confused, all right? So we're going to go through the menstrual cycle, and I'm going to go through it slowly so that you are able to understand. Also, you need to be able to put this picture, all right, you need to be related to the time scale, all right, over here. Okay, let's start. All right, what is the menstrual cycle? The menstrual cycle, if we go to the uterus, okay, let me go and see if I can look at the uterus over here. All right. What did I say the role of the female is? The role of the female, all right, is to ensure that she is able to, that embryo that was fertilized, what can she must be able to do? She must be able to protect it and be able for it to grow. And in order for that to do that, she has to make sure that the lining of the uterus, all right, the lining of the uterus changes so that it becomes more favorable, all right, for the development of that embryo. Because pregnancy will not happen, will come to term if implantation doesn't occur. Okay, so let's start from the top. The female has got two roles when it comes to the menstrual cycle. Number one, oh, here we go. Oh, we'll get there now. All right. Number one, she has to produce an egg cell. Okay, I don't like that color, it doesn't look too good there. Number 2, what does she have to do? The uterus needs to be, and I'm going to write here, hospitable. Right. Hormones are going to control, all right, when she produces an egg cell and when the endometrium becomes more hospitable. So let's start. Okay. 2 things I want you to understand. Number 1, the ovary, all right, things are going to happen in the ovary. All right. And things that happen in the ovary are controlled by the brain. All right. All the hormones that work on the ovary are controlled by the pituitary gland in the brain. Okay. Let us start at step number 1. In order for a woman to be able to reproduce, number 1, she has to produce a sex cell. All right? Same as the male. Okay. Now, that is triggered. We have hormones in our body that trigger the workings of these things. Okay, so here it goes. Number 1. In the pituitary gland, all right, in the brain, there's my pituitary gland, and you're going to do it when you do the endocrine gland. It's called the master gland. It's a tiny little gland that is responsible, all right, for hormones. What is a hormone? All right, it is a messenger that goes to a certain gland or to a muscle, to a receptor, and it's going to do something. Okay, so step number 1, what do I need to do? I need to produce an egg cell. So let's start on day 1, all right? On day 1, what do I need to do? I need to produce a sex cell. So what does my brain do? It sends a message. Sorry, I'm trying to see what color works best. It sends a message to my ovary. All right. And that message is a hormone called FSH.
All right, sure.
Does it not look, is it a different color?
Yeah, your color.
Is the pink better? Is the pink better?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's better.
All right, let's go over it. Okay. And what does FSH stand for? A follicle stimulating hormone. Okay. Does this look familiar, this diagram? Look over here. Day 1. All right. Remember that diagram we saw above here?
Yes.
There we go. Number 1. Okay. So on day number 1 of my cycle, all right, what has to happen? I need to produce an egg cell. Okay. So what does the hormone do? Goes to the ovary and tells it, okay, you need to produce an egg cell. And that's what it does. So what does it do for the next 14 days? For the next 14 days, what does this egg cell do? It grows. Then, what do we have to do with that egg cell? Must it stay in the ovary? Let's go back again. What happens? What happens? What happens to this egg? What happens to it? It must go out. All right? It must go out. Have a look here. If I do this dot, that's 14 days. What do I do? What do I see here? I see there's this funny hormone that if I look at there and I look at here, what do I notice? On that 14th day, the certain hormone shoots up, and when it shoots up, what shoots out? Right? My egg cell. Right? My egg cell. And when the egg cell releases and it bursts from the ovary, that is called ovulation. It can't be a coincidence that on the day that my egg cell shoots out, this hormone is high. All right? Because it's not. That hormone, can you see now? All right? That is called your luteinizing hormone. And what does it do? Okay? It causes ovulation. So what do I have first? Here in day 1, I need to produce a follicle, all right? And that follicle is my egg cell. When you're on contraception, the pill. All right? What does the pill do? The pill, a contraception, as you guys have done, means it stops the cell and the egg from meeting. When you take the pill, all right, what do? You mess with the hormones. All right? You mess with the hormones. And when you mess with the hormones, I'm going to see now, because we've got another 2 hormones to do. When I keep those hormone levels high, FSH doesn't get made. So if I have no FSH, will I have an egg? No. Okay, that is how the contraceptive pill works. So now, that's on number 1. I made an egg cell, and what did I do? All right, it's out there. It's out there in the fallopian tube, ready. What was number 2? What do I have to now do? Now I have to get the uterus ready. Okay. Whose function is that? It's the ovaries. The pituitary gland, it works on the ovary. The ovary is going to work on my uterus. Okay, so now what do we have? Okay, you'll see often we're talking about the 14 and the 28-day cycle. Day number 1 is when menstruation takes place. There's no pregnancy. So what is menstruation? We have built up this lining. Have a look at this cell over here. Look at this picture here. Look at my lining. It's thick and it's full of blood. But what happens? No pregnancy occurred. So now, do I want to keep that old yucky stale blood there? No. What do I need to do every single month? I need to get rid of the old and I need to make the new. All right? And that's what I do. So what does my uterus do? My uterus secretes a hormone called estrogen. All right? And what does estrogen do? Have a look here. What happens to my endometrium? It gets thicker and thicker and thicker. So what does my estrogen do? It builds up the lining of the uterus. Remember what I said? What is point number 2? I want to make it hospitable. All right. What does estrogen do? Right? It's there to build the lining of the uterus. Okay. Then, day 14, here's my egg cell. It's ready. It's out in the open. Now let's go back to this little diagram. Here, the corpus luteum, which is in my ovary, it's now going to secrete another progesterone. Now, I want you just quickly, I know we're almost out of time. The estrogen rebuilds, the progesterone maintains. Okay, so now, if fertilization occurs, if over here I meet a sperm, all right, this little structure stays. It stays. And if it stays, the level carries on, all right, because we now got a baby that we need to look after. If there's no reproduction, what do I need? Fertilization, should I say. What happens again? The corpus luteum, what happens to it? It disappears. Once it disappears, we've got no hormone, and because we've got no hormone, what happens to the lining? It breaks down. Okay.
I think you need a break after that. So do you guys. We'll take this break and we'll see you straight after it. Welcome back, awesome guys. Now you guys are on fire with questions, and I think I just need to give you these questions and not waste any time.
We went through.
Right, first one is from Emba Velonzwe. What happens to the rest of the egg cells when they do not fuse?
Okay, now remember, like the question, you must be very careful about that question. The egg cell, all right, and I'm going to lead it to the other question that you gave me, Abram, about somebody asked about having 4 babies. All right, yes. You can, all right, if you produce more than one cell. So some women, all right, where twins are running the family, they produce 2 cells. Also, when women go through fertility treatments, what happens is the doctor injects, all right, FSH to increase ovulation, and then she produces more than one egg, and that's how multiple births. Yes. So usually twins, sometimes triplets, natural, but when you get to the more larger families, usually what we call fertility treatments has been, and they've stimulated the ovaries to produce more than one. If you do not fall pregnant, what happens to your egg cell? It just gets washed out the body with the menstrual cycle. All right.
Okay.
Remember, the egg cell's tiny, tiny, tiny. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, Palisa, Semi, what is the optimum temperature for a sperm to survive?
Okay, now remember the testes are outside the body, all right? Why? Because we want 2 degrees lower than body temperature. So we're looking at 36 degrees body temperature. Sperm, all right, produce much better around 34 degrees. That's why the testes are outside the body.
Okay, talking about testes, why are the testes removed when a male is diagnosed with prostate cancer?
The testes will never be removed.
Oh.
All right, guys, the testes will only be removed if they have testicular cancer. All right, prostate cancer. Let me go back over here. Prostate cancer is a cancer that is very is quite popular in older males, if I can say that. It's a gland behind there. All right, and for prostate cancer, what they can do, either it's chemotherapy or they can remove it. You usually see it's the same as when women get over the age of 40, they have to go for mammograms. Usually males have to go for prostate exams, and the problem is the prostate exam is not very pleasant for a male, so males don't tend to usually go for it because they can do blood tests, but usually, unfortunately, it needs a rectal exam, and lots of men don't go for that, and sometimes that's why they do tend to get prostate cancer more often. Yeah.
Okay.
Ask any man. It's not
All right.
something that he enjoys. Yeah.
What might be the problem if
Yeah.
one misses a period but is pregnant? That's from Rasejo.
Oh, ladies, or especially girls at your age, all right, your cycles are really not that regulated. So for you to miss a cycle is really not the end of the world. You also find that your cycle is also very much predetermined. Those of you obviously on contraceptives, that is different. But those of you who are not, you will see stress in your life. There's certain things that can have an effect on where your menstrual cycle begins or not. So, but usually when you are younger, right, you do tend to miss because your menstrual cycle really only sets into a rhythm much later on.
All right. My favorite subject, I'm just understanding it to the fullest. No, that's not from me. But, well, it is, of course. Understanding it to the fullest. Lots of love to this wonderful ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. That's from Mashadu, Laura. Last question for now. Gabo says, what is the relationship between progesterone and temperature?
Okay. There's not so much a relationship between progesterone and temperature. It's actually luteinizing hormone and temperature, because let me go back here quickly, all right, and ladies who are more in tune with their body can sometimes know, all right, that over here when ovulation occurs, there is a spike in body temperature. So it's not so much progesterone, all right, progesterone does, but that's only, it will obviously keep the body temperature slightly higher if fertilization occurs, because that's when obviously, all right, the development of the blood, etc. Okay, all right.
Okay.
Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Because the question is one.
The questions, that's not a problem. They must ask away. We're here. All right, guys, just one diagram, a few that you need to, all right, be, as I said, pictures, please see in your mind. Over here, all right, just some terms that you need to know, okay? When the egg cell and the sperm cell, they fertilize, okay, join, that's fertilization, and it forms a zygote, all right? And then it grows by mitosis, all right? And it develops into this lovely little thing called amarula, not amarilla, all right? Lots of them say amarula. It's not an amarula. That is for some drink for some and a fruit for others. All right, and here we go. Have a look here. All right, so lots of people say to me, why does fertilization occur in the fallopian tubes? Why? Because fertilization occurs in the fallopian tubes because if you have a look here, what does it do? All right, that little developing embryo gets time to grow, and so that when it gets to the uterus, all right, it is more mature enough to embed and implant. Okay. Also, when you do genetics, some of you will come across the word stem cells. Okay. In the blastocyst over here, these little cells, all right, they are your stem cells. Those are the stem cells. When we talk about embryonic stem cells, they are able to become any tissue in the body. Okay, all right. Then, as I said to you, please, you need to, you need to be able to have all the different birth controls. There's just a few that I've put up on the board for you. Okay. Please understand, when it comes, I think one of the questions that you asked me is if they can retie the tubes.
Yes.
All right. If you see over here, there's the female sterilization, all right, and there's the male vasectomy over there. They can rejoin the tubes. As I said, it doesn't guarantee that it's going to be successful, but you can you can sometimes reverse it. Remember, when it comes to contraception, what do you want to do? All right, think about it. Do you want to stop an egg cell and a sperm cell meeting? So barriers, all right, like the condom. Do you want to take out one of the egg cell, like the pill, all right, or the injection, those? We take out one of the cells. Or obviously, do you not want them to meet? Okay, so when it comes to contraception, all right, be able to know the various methods and also be able to have a bit of an opinion on them. Okay, I'm going to go to question number 2. All right, because I think we have, you see there it is in your face, okay, your diagram. These are one of the questions you need to be able to. You're going to get either the male or the female, all right? Well, they could give you various, but it's actually very simple. Question, let's start here. All right, before you even start, the first thing you do, you haven't even looked at the questions yet. The first thing you do, you label. You say to yourself, okay, I know this is the male, let me quickly label. All right. This is the vas deferens. Okay, this is the urethra. Look at the tube. Okay, that's turned to the penis. Oops, oh, sorry about that. Okay, and I never know where the eraser is. Okay, sorry. Okay, that is the testes, and they are inside the structure called the scrotum. And you know where the eraser is? It was on the back of my pen. There we go. Yeah. I haven't worked with it for so long that I forgot where to find. There we go. Found it. All right. And which one did we? Okay.
Or you should just say undo, hey?
You know what, hey? Me and the spark board, we have a bit of a love-hate relationship. You know? Well, actually, there's no love. It hates me and I hate it. Right, here we go. First question. Provide labels for 1 to 5. How easy is that? 5 easy marks. This section, all right, nice and easy. Question number 2. Where are the testes located at the time of birth? Do you know this one?
No.
Where are the testes located at the time of birth?
I don't know.
You know they're inside the body.
Yes.
All right, they're inside the body. When a baby boy is born, the testes are inside the body, and when they get slightly older, then the testes drop to outside.
Yes.
All right. Remember, a baby boy doesn't need to produce sperm. All right. So it doesn't matter that they are inside because the temperature doesn't make a difference. Okay. They will only start to produce sperm. Oh, we have to. All right. So they're inside. Okay, inside the body. All right. Sometimes the testes do not descend, and they might need an operation, and that's all right. If a male has a vasectomy, which number part is cut? As I said to you, they just want the number, so that would be number 1. I'm not too sure if you would use the vas deferens or a sperm duct. Number 1. See, nice and easy questions. Why is it necessary for a male to produce such a large quantity of sperm cells? Okay, 1. Number 2, all right, because it has to leave the body. All right. And number 2, as I said to you, all right, larger number ensures fertilization. As I said to you, the female, believe it or not, the female, from the time that the sperm enters the cervix, all right, the female's, her system is actually designed to kill the sperm. All right, so it's very hostile. So the female all right, is there to destroy. Name one function of the epididymis. Now let's go back here. What is the epididymis? The epididymis is this little tube over here. And as you can see, all right, the sperm form here, and there they are. All right, they go there. And what we call it, all right, it sounds really stupid. All right, it's the nursery school for sperm. All right, it's where sperm mature. Right, so it's actually like a school. It's like a nursery school. It's like a preschool. It's an area where the immature sperm, right, are going to be. It is, I promise you. You're laughing, Amber. It is. Okay, why is it important that the testes are located outside of the abdominal body? Why? We want a lower temperature. Why? Better sperm production. That's why skinny jeans. You see all these little boys with their skinny jeans and their tight little underpants, yeah.
Okay.
All right. And hot baths, and very hot baths, all right, are actually detrimental for your sperm. I'm serious. All right, so boxers are the best thing. Then that's keep everything cool down there.
Okay.
Yeah, just putting it out there. All right. Now, the next one. When a boy or a man contracts mumps, all right, mumps is, I don't know what, is when your glands over here, they swell up, all right? There is often a concern that the virus will spread to the testes. It happens often with males, all right? That's why it's much better for boys to get mumps when they are younger, all right, than when they are older. The virus causes damage to the Sertoli cells. The Sertoli cells, what do? All right, the cells of Sertoli, they help with the development of sperm. What do you think the result of testicular mumps will be? All right, what will happen for mumps? What will happen if they can't produce sperm? Sterile. All right, sterility is a cause. Right.
Okay.
Have we got time for almost? No. Time's out.
Time is
Tell
up.
them to go to the questions on the web, especially the menstrual cycle one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, unfortunately, guys, we have to end it there, but all these are on the notes. So, guys, make sure that you get the notes on land.mindset.co.za /Easter School. There's a schedule there with the links, the video notes, and the notes to the actual notes.
Yeah,
So
and the
better download
answers.
them.
And the answers to the questions.
And the answers to these questions. Thank you so much,
It's a
Cheryl.
pleasure, Abram. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
It's been so great. So, guys, better enter for the competition, the South Point competition. It's easy, guys. Details are on our Facebook page, facebook.com/LearnExtra. This show was probably brought to you by M10 SA Foundation. We're so grateful for that. And supported by the Department of Basic Education. So we're so grateful for that. Better enter right now for all the competitions that we have, including the Beer Bright Spark competition. We love you guys, and we'll always be here to help you guys. Our help desk is dedicated for you guys. Anytime, we're here for you. Learn more, learn extra. We love you. Peace you all out.